All right, so good evening, everyone. Jose J Garcia, real estate investor, coach, and mentor. So we got another Sunday coaching series tonight. So a couple things I want to cover, but the individual coaching. All right, so if you're not part of our emails campaigns yet, send us your email so we can add you to any upcoming coachings, events, deals. Just kind of keep up with what we're doing. But part of what we're doing there now is also we're sending, many times is how can we help you? Always trying to add value. And as a matter of fact, that's what tonight's call is about. But it was I will coach one individual. Doesn't have to be a GMHU student. Doesn't even have to be an investor. If you're looking to invest in mobile homes, I want to coach one individual on here on a Sunday evening, which I was hoping to be this Sunday. Uh, and we did get quite a few emails, but some of the questions that are coming in, and it's like, well, we're kind of already covering this. When I make these calls, especially these coachings, I think it helps so many more of the people when you hear different questions coming in and out. Obviously, Q&As type, and we can answer them because we can answer for everybody. Getting started into real estate many years ago, I could sit in a classroom and I wouldn't even know what to ask. Obviously, and that's a lot of the people that are joining our calls or Zooms or Instagrams. They're very newbie to the idea, so we want to make sure that we're answering as many questions as possible. So if you didn't get a chance to send your email, okay, and you should get a response from our admin saying, "Tell us about you," unless we know you. Tell us about you. And tell us your level of expertise in mobile home investing. If you're getting started investing in mobile homes, and some of the topics or a topic that you want to cover during your coaching. The coaching will be about 15 minutes long. It's going to be next Sunday. We'll pick somebody out of that. Like I said, a few people have already responded. We've already responded back. So, but again, it's a great event for everybody to kind of come in and learn on something, especially the person getting chosen. You can ask me any question mobile home related. Let me toss that out there. Mobile home related. I'm not a life coach. Okay. I'll give you as much guidance. I'll add as much value as I can, but we're going to stick within mobile home range. Okay. That being said, all right. So send us an email on that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end as well. So, but tonight was communities getting rejected. Call communities. I've spoken to a few park operators, managers. When I say operators, that's typically a mobile home park owner. By the way, that's the name technically is operator. And I keep hearing this, I get rejected. They don't want to work with me. They don't like investors. The typical no-no-nos, right? I can sit here and tell you all cliches around every no, there's a yes. That's not really going to help you, right? Yes, there's a yes coming around the corner, which means persistence. You got to keep going. You got to keep calling. You can't take it personal. Okay. Can't take it personal for sure. I see some investors. I've had some investors. I had one specific once. I don't know why I'm going to tell the story again. But anyway, he would call park operators, park owners. They would tell him, no, we don't work with investors, this, that. And he basically tell them to go, where. Terrible approach. That's taking it very much personal. And again, you're not going to work with anybody for very long like this. So I'm sure my like, I think we're good. We're good on here. So you can't take it personal. If they don't want to work with you, and it's typically there's a reason behind that. Try to be a problem solver. Hence that's what an entrepreneur is. But always try to add value. So I want to find out how I can help for one, how I can help our park operators, managers make their life easier, simpler, and how I can get myself involved. But at the same time, if somebody says, no, we don't need you, or no, we don't work with you, typically those that say no the most are the ones I work with the most. And it's because many of those who say, no, we don't deal with investors means they've already dealt with investors. They've already dealt with wholesalers, bird dogs, and all flippers, and all these fancy names, right? And all they did was come into the community and left their worse than before they appeared. So what happens then is they get in this idea of all investors are terrible. Okay. One ruins it for all, for instance. I had one community in Athens, Georgia, if you know where that's at. And it took me almost 6 months for them to say, yes, we will work with you. So what happens is every other week I will call, and make sure if you do call consistently that you do it professionally. You don't want to be an issue to them by calling every day either. Don't call anybody every day, but I would say every other week, maybe once a month, just depends on how you're filling them out. But that was probably the hardest one for me to get into, and it was because of that, is they had multiple investors. They came in and promised all these things and never really delivered. They left homes behind with issues, more issues than when they started. They ruined a lot of titles, just the fiasco of issues left behind. So they were kind of stuck at a point where they just kind of try to resolve it the best way that they could, but never really did. The home sat there. But anybody that came in new saying I'm an investor was an immediate rejection, and you can understand it from that. So of course I didn't know all these things going in, but I knew the persistence tactic that I'm telling you about on here. So what happens is I kept calling, and the first visit was in person. Lovely people walked in. They said, "Oh, welcome to the community," kind of. And I said, "Well, like I always do, my name is this. I'm an investor," and it stopped it immediately. Okay, so that was the end of that one. I couldn't take it personal, even though I didn't get to really throw my pitch out there, which is about 30 seconds long. Okay, but a couple of weeks later, I'll call it again. Okay, I know you don't deal with investors, but hey, these are some of hang up. Okay, that's okay. Then we call again. Then we call again. Okay, and then later on, it's like we may have one you can come in. I guess if you just need to invest in this area, one. That's my foot in the door, though. See, now I get to prove myself. So it's like, yes, give me that one. And this is why it is so important that you do exactly what you say you're going to do, because this is how you build that relationship, right? The business relationship. So I got in, and of course, I over delivered because I'm here to stay. I'm here to play long ball for a long time. So sure enough, I got that one deal, one investment. And then there's another one. Okay. We may have another one right here as well. Now there's four more right here. Well, I think a couple of people are getting ready to sell. So now they're telling me. So you see how the relationship starts building. Now, that's not guaranteed for everybody. There is some park operators, some managers who don't like you because you're an investor. Okay, that's life. Deal with it. It is what it is. Now the cliche. Wherever now there's a yes, so go to the next one and maybe they'll say yes, and then just do the same cycle over and over. Okay, but definitely be a problem solver when you call in. Don't make it all about you. That's one thing when I get investors to pitch me do your pitch. It is typically I this. It's typically I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna flip that, I'm gonna sell this, I'm gonna finance, and it's like there's nothing for the park operators or the managers to say, well, you're different. You're just like every other investor. So when you come in and say, how can I help you? How can I add value? Okay, start pinpointing, and this is why it's so important that you learn. Okay, so many strategies within investing is to not just be one and done. Never be that one deal and done or just one strategy. There is so many avenues. This is what we're teaching March 11th. There's so many avenues that you can create passive income through mobile home investing. They're endless. You can come in and say, well, if I see 10 vacant pads, there you go. There's a reason why 10 pads are vacant in that community. A lot of times it could be a money issue, maybe no transportation they trust, not the right inventory, meaning the right homes they can bring in, etc. Can you come in and solve that issue for them? Absolutely. If I see 10 pads, I'm thinking numbers because that's how I approach people. Especially operators who to a park operator, everything is numbers. If you can get them to understand numbers, a deficiency of anyway, they're going to need you. The tables turn real quick. Example of something like that, I walk into a community office and see the park operators say, as I'm driving through your community, I couldn't help to notice 10 vacant pads. Now, what is your lot rent in this community? 500, easy numbers, right? Probably, hopefully not that high, but 500 a month. So that means that out of 10 pads, you're missing 500 each. 500 times 10 pads is how much a month? And that's immediate number one. Kids typically is like, oh, because people get complacent. That's another thing. And they get comfortable. They get what it's just the way that it is. That, until you come in and point out, they just see, well, that home is just a stress. Those pads are just vacant. You get them to understand and realize they're not just vacant. They're not just distressed. They're costing you money and they're losing you money. 10 pads times 500 is somebody do the math on Instagram, whatever that is. Okay. Now I'll take that same number. I say now a year's time has 12 months. So now you're missing 10 pads at $500 a month times 12 months. How much is that? That's not typically a good reaction out of them. It's more of a, oh my gosh, yes. Not to mention, on top of that is, you pay taxes because everybody has to pay taxes on properties, real estate, which is what mobile home parks are, the community. So now you're losing money and you're paying money. That's a bad way to get, okay? Get them to understand. All right, that's what I'm trying to say. So let me see. Don't want to work with you. Yes, the same things I keep hearing over and over. And, we have so many communities that we work with at this time. I do mention also, I'm reading some of the questions that came in through our emails and they sent in. It's like, if you ever need help from us to be able to reach out to them as well, if you're a GMHU student already, got credibility. And I do not hesitate to call a community. Jay, I'm looking to invest in Arkansas somewhere. There's a community, but they won't accept me as an investor. I don't mind calling out, reaching out. We have 7 years of credibility. Okay, if you're a Jim H student, we can talk to them, and many times we've been able to get the park operators to say, "Well, sure, we'll start with one. That's all you need. Start with one, and then you branch out to more." Okay, we'll get Let me see, we'll get paid. Here's to come. Yeah. Adding value. Yeah. So definitely, adding value is huge because when I think of adding value, I think of long-term relationships. I think a lot of investors come in with this idea of, I'm just going to flip one right here real quick, just kind of come in, get it done, and get out. And that's fine and all. But again, it's where's your next deal? Where's your next investment? If you're trying to create long-term passive income, at one point, you will have to do rentals, maybe lease options, rent to owns. Those are months and months, which we don't go over 5 years, by the way, on something like that. But that's 5 years of every month we're collecting income. You have to have a relationship with that with the community, with the park operator or managers to say yes, you can do for one, and obviously two to be able to conduct that. Park managers, let me kind of shift more into that idea now. Park managers can make or break you. Let me toss that out there. And we have a park manager that attends our shadow events every time we have one. And that's the first thing she says is never try to go around them. I think a lot of investors like to get creative in a wrong way and try to, well, let me just get this. Nobody's really going to know. They always know. Okay. Think about it. Mobile home communities. Everybody knows themselves in the community. And everybody in the community in a park knows everybody. There's always somebody who knows everybody's business. So think about that. Okay. Let me see. Oh yeah, we had a park in LaGrange, Georgia. It was right outside of the other side of Alabama. If you know where that's at, LaGrange, Georgia is West Georgia, and that's another park that we did deal with park operators who said that basically they wouldn't ever deal with investors. Kind of kept coming back and forth. It's like, no, but we kind of need this. So we could see the hint of they kind of wanted to work with us, but they didn't really want to involve us. And it was kind of like one of those where it just took a while to break in. But again, I'm telling you that because that's one operator that today we do the most business with them. I mean, and they have probably over 11 parks at this time, and it's always been adding pads. In LaGrange itself, we did over 80 mobile home pads infills. That's 80 mobile homes we were able to sell to the community, helping getting the transportations, which is obviously the permits, inspections, and anywhere we could get ourselves involved. But that has turned into now long-term relationship. Now, if there's somebody getting evicted, they may mention it to us, say 1C is coming available next week, or this other park resident is selling a mobile home, so they come to us. Well, we're kind of like their go-to. And again, that's happened out of that. Okay. Problem solving. Some of the things you can solve. Infill pads. If you see vacant pads, again, point those out, find out what the numbers are, first of all, and then see what kind of inventory, what kind of mobile homes you can bring in. That does not mean you have to go out and buy them and move them and bring them. It could be as simple as you find them and you sell them to the park operators. Let them deal with the movement and all. But if they need transportation, because a lot of them don't have that as well, I mean, that's as simple as making a few phone calls, and I'll give you this. The best way to find a good transportation company is by finding communities in the area, wherever your mobile home is at, that you're trying to move. Call them. Hey, I have a mobile home nearby and I'm trying to get it to move. Do you have any references, any numbers to any movers maybe you can trust? Bingo. You get some contacts for that. You connect them and you see what you're doing. You're solving issues, solving problems. Trouble homeowners. That's another thing. That's, and that works out great in many ways. So think about it this way too. When you have a resident that doesn't abide by the rules, regulations, just flat out doesn't pay, there's only so long before they will get evicted. Now, there is a gray area in the sense when they own the home. So if you're just renting the mobile home from the community, you're just going to get a normal eviction, whatever the city, county rules allow. But if you own the mobile home, that can get a little sticky because now they can't technically evict you out of your home, but they're evicting you and your home out of the community. So it adds tension, it adds court costs. I mean, and we just did this again last week, and it's like, well, we get ourselves involved. Typically, when a resident and the park operators don't get along, they're done. There's no business relationship of any kind. They don't like each other, bottom line. Okay. And I've heard where residents will say, I'd rather burn my home than let them take it or sell it to them. That's how much of the slack there is. Now, me, I have nothing to do with that, right? I'm just the middleman who's here to help wherever I can. So I heard you may be selling. You see how I can approach that. I'm not here to defend the park or look for either side. I just heard you may be selling. And in the fact that they're being evicted, there's all kinds of issues with the court system. What do you think they're going to say to me? Well, yeah, I may sell for this amount or whatever, which at that point, that's a negotiation skill. That's something we do later on. But the fact that I can come in there, you see how I'm solving these problems for the park operators. I can make that situation into a win-win-win. Park operator gets rid of those tenants that they don't want, the residents. The residents get to sell their home so they can leave and I get a home. There you go. Now I may do a rental on it or lease option or whatever it may be. Okay. Titles with issues with titles as well. That's another one. The last which I still have not planned another one now that I think about it. Title solutions, how to verify VINs, how to get title replacements, bonds, etc., which is huge. Okay. The more people that get involved in mobile home investing, the more eyes that are on us, meaning that the city, county, state are now very much involved. You cannot move a mobile home in the state of Georgia now without a title. Now, before we could move it to a new county, then kind of deal with the title issue. Can't do that anymore. You can't even move it into a county until you get the title and you can register it, which is typically a better way to go about it anyway. But that being said, it's a lot of people don't know how to solve issues with titles, and that can go into a whole process, which it can be lengthy, but it's doable. And what happens is the last title solutions, I think that's what we call it, title solutions call, it was filled, I think it was two investors. Everybody else on the call was a park operator or a park manager, which is great. I mean, it is what it is. Love to teach and coach anybody I can. But so that being said, that shows you how many homes may be sitting in a community where really the park operator cannot legally sell. Even if they do abandonments or whatever the process, which that's a horrible process, by the way, it's 6 to 9 months before you can claim anything, but we can come in and solve those issues. So now this home that's sitting here, you can't do anything with it. It's costing you money. I can come in and take over and we can create, or we can get a bond title for it. We can gain ownership of it, and then we'll turn it into obviously a mobile home, a home that can also be collect rent every month. Okay. I'm going to go through these questions here in a few minutes. So let me one more. Transporter, I already went over that. The transporters, I will say this though, and I want you to keep this in mind. A transportation company is a contractor. All right. They are contractors. And a lot of times, even though it's a business, they hire people or even sublease. You are dealing with contractors. So you need to treat them very much like handyman and contractors. Yes, they will tell you, I will be there tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And 3 days later, you still haven't heard from them. That is common. So you need to kind of keep that in mind and know that you need backup after backup. It's not one and done. It is why it's so good to have reviews and references. If I can call a community and say, who do you typically use to move mobile homes? We use John Doe down the street. He's great. He charges high, but et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's fine. At least I know that this guy's legit as to what he does. Okay. So definitely on that as well. All right. Let's see. Oh, we went through that one quick. Good. Makes me want to lower these to lower time. Let's see. All right, questions. Don't forget again, for those of you that just joined us, I'm recording on the background here on Zoom. So the whole call will be posted on our social media, YouTube, by tomorrow morning. You can check it out as well. The first thing we were covering when we came in was coaching one individual. One individual, no cost, of course. We'll bring them on here. You'll actually be live on Instagram, not Zoom. We'll see. We'll see which one we do. Maybe both. Okay. But anyway, I'll be able to coach somebody next Sunday. A lot of questions are coming in, kind of similar. All I'm saying to y'all is go back and watch my reels, go back and watch our social media. The answer's there. Some of you were asking questions of what we covered last Sunday. Tells me you're not following our channel. So go follow it there and you can see the answers to that. But for those of you who are sending new emails, I will pick one of y'all throughout the week. And next Sunday, 8 p.m., we will go live on here and we will just do a Q&A coaching, whatever you need help with. Anybody that has questions can also send them in, or you can just drop them on the comments. So Dan, thank you for your level of expertise. Absolutely. Yes. Does the bond process take it? The bond process is very quick. So it depends on what agency you go through. We're in Georgia, so the agency we use is actually downtown Atlanta. And it's the process is not so much on the bond. The bond should be 1 day process. It's more getting the verify and getting the home. So real quick, if I could squeeze that in, there is basically I have to go out to the mobile home with a form, which is called in the state of Georgia T22A. It's a VIN verification form that I go out and verify the home. Now, while I'm doing so, I have to call an officer. Yes, don't call 911, by the way. Call the police department because it's not an emergency. Okay. So you call them and say, hey, I need to verify a VIN on a mobile home. Okay, awesome. They'll take the address, your number. Are you there? Yes. Are you there now? Yes. And they'll send them out to you. When they get out there, the more forms and everything, the more prepared you are, the better. Officers don't like to do data entry, so make it as quickly as possible. Have the van ready inside the mobile home or outside wherever it's at, because that's what they got to verify. Give them the form and say, here, I just need you to verify. Here's my bill of sale or whatever form you have that shows you own it in a sense. And then once that's done, you submit it to the bond agency. Us, typically that same day or the next day we have it. We take that bond down to the tag tax assessor's office, register it like we would a title. 7-10 days, we got a title, right? Sounds a little simpler, a lot faster, but something like that. Okay. All right. So one thing I want to talk about real quick, and that's going to do it for this evening. I got one more coaching right after this. So March 11th, I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. March 11th, we were tentatively going to change that. I think we're going to stick with the date. March 11th is a Saturday. It's going to be down. It's an event that's going to be down in Tampa, Florida, at our studio, ledlivestudio.com. You can check that out. Me and a few awesome investors have just invested in that. And it is now open for business. We've done the ribbon cutting. We've done the Chamber of Commerce, open house, etc. So it's up and going. We will host our event there. Massive LED screen in the background where I'll be able to show you mobile homes. I'll be able to show you the ways to create passive income, whichever way we use the stream at this time. Okay. Now, the screen being there, obviously, we're going to be able to also do it virtually. I know a lot of you cannot make it in person. Life happens, things happen, that sort of thing. So that's fine. But definitely come in. The better thing about coming in person is the network. There's no value in that. I mean, that's huge. Being able to come in and be in a room full of people, like-minded people who also invest in real estate, mobile homes, or whatever they do and venture into, these are the people you grow with, right? So March 11th, check out ongarciamhu.com. There is the option to be live in person, which I think, don't quote me, $497, I think is what it is. I typically don't give prices on here, but I see somebody's asking $497, second person, no charge. If you do virtual, I think it's $197 is per person on that as well. So, but definitely join us on that. That's passive income creating through mobile homes. We are focusing hard on Airbnbs at this time. So that's something that I have to this week, as a matter of fact, go and help set up some of the campers, the fifth wheels, and kind of stage them. It's a different type of clientele. So, and it's something we're venturing more into. We've done Airbnbs and mobile homes, but never in campers, never in fifth wheels. Same thing, by the way, just one is bigger than the other. But anyway, so we got to go stage them right, get them set. Airbnb is going to sign off, meaning they approve on us, and we're on the go. There is an event coming available sometime in March. I'm not going to put a date at this time, but it will be after March 11th, and it's going to be on how to Airbnb mobile homes, campers, fifth wheels, etc. Just one more passive income, right? Hope that helps. So, all right. Yeah, definitely connect with us. And I'll put my direct email at the beginning of it, which is j@garciamhu.com. You can visit garciamhu.com for all of our social medias. Follow on all that. We're blasting stuff every day. Every day we're adding something, deals, opportunities, events, coachings, etc. You name it. All right. I don't see any other questions. So I'm going to jump on one more call. Email us, connect with us. All right. Thank you for watching.